We have another interesting guest, and of
Yes.
course I know her very well. She's at my next door neighbor for 35 years,
You
Lorraine.
know her so well, I had to call her to get her
I
on.
know, well,
Whenever
that-
you tell me she wouldn't
That's
come
your
on for
job, but Beverly Leonard, it's so nice to have you on
Nice
our
to be
program.
here.
And
Thank you for asking me.
yes, it's nice. Our
He told me he
families,
was trying to get you on for a long time.
Right, right.
our families are very close.
Absolutely.
Her brother married my daughter.
That's
and
right.
she
So we're
is-
family.
And she's been in the medical thing. Her
Right.
father was a dentist in
That's
Everett.
right. Dr. Leonard.
The most admired, wonderful
He
man
was a very
in
refined
the
man.
world, I'll tell you.
Absolutely.
Very
The
refined.
quintessential man, the quintessential
Oh, he
gentleman.
was-
Absolutely.
But you do a wonderful job. You're working with the Globe
Yes, I am.
as a nurse.
And I'm a registered nurse there. And so many people say, I can't believe you have a nurse at the Globe.
I know.
But we have 2,000 employees.
2,000 patients you have.
employees. So on a daily basis, I see probably 50 to 60 patients.
Oh, that's
And
something.
of course, like anything, we try to keep the patient or the employee at work. We want to keep them there. So it's cost effective to have a nurse there. So for instance, if you say, oh, I'm not feeling well, I think I might have a strep throat, I can do a strep culture, you need penicillin, I can check with our medical director, and if you're not allergic, we can order a prescription for you. So it's cost effective to have someone seen on site. You're not taking time away from your busy schedule, especially if you're a reporter, and you can go back to work. So.
That's wonderful.
And we have a fair amount of emergencies because, believe it or not, the average age at the Boston Globe is about 55. So we have, yes, we have a fair amount of people that have diabetes, so I could have someone with a diabetic reaction. I've had emergencies with chest pain that I've had to call 911. So I've had a fair amount of emergencies that I've had to send people out by ambulance, and I have a lot of emergency equipment there. So again, God forbid if something happens, I'm there to assist the patient and get them what they need as soon as possible.
That's a wonderful
It
thing.
is.
So
It
it's
is.
Yeah,
quite
John
busy.
Allen's spot.
Yeah. I know
It
one
is.
day I was feeling bad,
Yes.
and she came and took my blood pressure
Yes,
and checked
that's
me
right.
out.
That's right. I
And,
did.
It wasn't no emergency. And she says your blood
You're
pressure
fine.
is
You're
off.
fine. That's
so
right.
that worked out for
Right.
me. And but
That's true, and I find too, a lot of employees will come down and they'll say, can you check my blood pressure or my heart rate? And sometimes something else is going on too, so we do a lot of counseling.
right.
And in this day and age where people are so stressed, they're working 2 jobs, the economy is tough, so they might come in with one problem, but then I end up talking to them about something else. And we have an employee assistance program there. We refer people, and it's on site. So people can get child care, elder care. We can get a lot of referrals.
that's
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
you got a busy life over
It's
there.
very busy, as I say, and it's the closest job to, I would say, working in an emergency room. And you
Yeah.
know, because he bailed me out many times trying to get into the county emergency room, those
yeah.
snowstorms when I lived next door.
Yeah, that's right.
And I always tell people this is the closest job to working in an emergency room
Yeah.
because each day I don't know what's going to come through the door. It
That's
could be
true.
anything.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of the dignitaries that also come, and sometimes something like that could happen too.
Yeah.
We have the people come, we've had the presidential people, Barack Obama came. We've had in the past Hillary Clinton and people like that. And people will say, well, how come they come to the Globe? And I said, well, they want to be endorsed by the Globe. So
Yeah.
they come and they visit.
Yeah.
So
Are they part of the New York Times?
we are owned by the New York
Yeah.
Times.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
we are owned by the New York
So
Times.
that's a big
Right,
outfit.
right. It was a family-owned operation. The Taylors owned it, but the New York Times bought it several years ago, so we are owned by the
So
New
you
York
got-
Times.
Yeah, so she got quite a position over there.
Yes,
Oh,
sure.
quite busy.
And then I know that through the fact that we see each other,
Right.
we go to parties, family parties
Sure.
together, and you do a lot with Pope John.
Oh, yes, I do. I do
Yeah,
a lot with Pope John. We just started an alumni association. I want to give a good plug for that. Actually, I'm president of the Pope John Alumni Association, and there were a few of us that sat around a table much like this, and we said, we've been doing so much for the school. Why don't we have a formalized an association and get members on board and
Right.
start to have some social activities for the alumni and get people more involved. We want to give back to Pope John. It's a great school. So we've only been, 1 year. We've
I have
only
a
started the
nephew that goes
association
there.
1 year. And we've had about 3 events so far. I can't believe
What
it.
did
And
you
we've
call
done very
that?
well.
What'd you call that?
Well, then we had the school, Pope John High School sponsored their first annual Pinnacle Gala.
That's the one we were talking
And that was not sponsored by the alumni, but actually that was sponsored by Pope John. And I was lucky enough to be on that committee.
Oh, boy.
And was that a fantastic evening? Oh, my goodness. We had about 225 people.
Where was it, up there?
And that was at Montvale Plaza in Stoneham. And it was a wonderful evening, a great sit-down meal. We had a silent auction. And we were so fortunate to have, you talk about the Boston Globe, Bill Brett, as you know, who's a well-known photographer and author around Boston. He was our keynote speaker. And when he spoke, you could have heard a pin drop. He did wonderfully, I'm telling you. People listened to him. And then he sold his books.
Yeah,
So-
you're mesmerized by
Exactly.
a good speaker and a good writer.
And the thing is that he told us all the interesting stories, all the different people that he's met over the years, all the inaugurals that he's covered, and all the people that he's met. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
so
Fascinating.
interesting.
It's fascinating. And his last book that he just published, it's just been, 3 or 4 months ago, it starts from the marathon of 2007 to the marathon in 2008. And it covers every single day in that year, what went on. He took a picture of everything.
That's
So,
amazing.
yeah, it's amazing. So
Yeah.
it was a great turnout. And I think it's really due to Kay Donovan, who is the president of Pope
Yeah.
John High School. I have to
She
say
was the superintendent.
that she
of-
was the superintendent in Everett, and Rainey, your daughter,
Yeah,
knows
that's
her
right.
very well. And she's doing a fantastic job with
She
Pope
was
John.
a very clever person when we had her here as superintendent.
Oh, absolutely.
Didn't was her family part owners of some of the newspapers somewhere in Chelsea or ever?
I'm not sure because they owned the pub, her brother, the pub. But
I think, I'm trying to think if they own part of the Chelsea Record or whatever.
I'm not sure about
Yeah.
that. But she's done a fabulous job
That's
as president.
right.
It's
I met
wonderful.
her at a couple of the important meetings at like the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes,
or things
yes.
like that.
Right, right. And
And,
she's an
uh,
excellent speaker.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
she's
absolutely.
a very, very good friend of my daughter.
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
And this gala was to raise critical funding for Pope John, so it really did very, very well. And Pope John's doing well. And we have a futures program there for the students, and this is something fairly new. And a lot of high schools don't have this, and I helped Mrs. Donovan with that. And the students get a chance to go to a facility or a place of business that they think they might be interested in. Because a lot of people in high school, they say, what do I want to do with my life?
Yeah.
Do I want to be a lawyer,
They
a
don't
business
know.
person, a finance person? They really don't know what they want to do. So this futures program allows them to go into, say, the hospital, a law firm. And I had some of the students come to the Boston Globe, and I set them up with the different reporters and people in circulation, and it gave them a better understanding of what they'd like to do with their life. Is this something I'd like? Maybe I really wouldn't like to do this. Maybe I thought I'd like to be a social worker, but
Yeah.
maybe I'd rather be an attorney.
Oh.
So I think that futures program is absolutely great, and everybody that has been in it said it's been a great experience
So
for
that
them.
Pope John is quite a school that we
It
should
is.
be proud of.
It really is. And with our alumni association, we just recently had an all alumni reunion brunch, and that was well attended. And we're sponsoring on Friday, February 13th, we're having a 10K raffle, and we will be selling 200 tickets. It's $100 a ticket and a chance to win $10,000.
Oh, that's something.
So
Great.
that will be at Anthony's in Malden. And so that is going to be a really nice
Yes,
evening.
yeah.
So again, to raise money for the school. But a lot of people are gamblers, and they like the opportunity of only 200 tickets. You have a great chance to win
Oh, yes.
$10,000.
It's a lot better than
Right.
trying to win the lottery.
Lottery,
Oh
that's
my
right.
God, it's ridiculous.
So the alumni has been very, very busy. We've been very active.
That's
So that's
wonderful.
wonderful, and I'm
Yeah.
glad about that. We've had a lot of press, which actually brings me to being a nurse in Health Beat, which you've read some of my articles.
Oh,
the
that's
Everett Leader
right.
Herald.
I didn't even think of that. The
Yes.
Everett Leader.
The Everett Leader Herald.
Yeah.
I write columns for them, and it's called Health Beat. And I try to do it every other week. We've had a little hiatus for a while because with the election there was a lot of information that they wanted to get into the paper.
Yeah.
But I felt as a nurse, a lot of people, even though they talk about the internet and being able to get information there, but a lot of you people, you know yourself, not all of you are on the computer, the internet.
That's
so,
right.
and everybody loves to read the local papers.
Yes.
Oh, it's nice.
And even, as you know, your daughter Rainey, who will say, please save the paper for me because there's so much information there. It's been a staple for so many years.
They still love Everett, even though
Yes,
they've moved out.
that's right.
Yeah.
So I write the articles, and it's called Health Beat, and I try to break it down into simple terms that the layperson could understand. And I've done articles on Alzheimer's, diabetes, asthma, that kind of thing. And I recently interviewed Dr. Tom Montanaro, and I
yes.
will be writing an article about him and his office. And he's very proactive in that he has trained his staff to do a test now for diabetes, which is something that you really don't usually get when you go to your
He's
dentist.
the ophthalmologist.
He is a general dentist in Everett.
Oh, yeah.
And so what he will do is check your blood sugar to see if it's elevated. He's not taking the place of a primary care physician, but he will be referring his patients. And he said there's a great correlation between your oral health and systemic health,
Yeah.
such as diabetes and heart disease and whatnot. So it's very important that you get cleanings and checkups, especially as we get older, every 3 months, at the minimum, every 3 months, at least 6 months.
Well, Beverly, it was certainly a pleasure to have you with
thank
all
you.
this activity.
I know.
Pleasure to have you on our
Thank
show.
you
with
so
us.
much. I enjoyed
and,
it.
And of course, I see you at all the parties
Of
that
course
we
we
have,
do.
family
Right,
parties.
we're family.
God
Right.
bless you. We had a nice time here with
Yes,
you today.
thank you.
And,
No, I'm glad she came on.
Yes,
and,
I enjoyed it.
We just have to remember what month this is. It's December, Lorraine.
Yes.
And what does that remind you of? Our Christmas.
Santa's coming.
Oh, Santa.
Christmas
And
and New
so
Year's.
we take this time, Beverly and Lorrraine Callanan, to wish
Wish
all
everybody-
you people out there that are watching our show a very Merry Christmas and,
and
a
a
Happy New Year.
New Year.
And we'll see all of you next month, and we hope that you have a wonderful winter. Thank you.
God
Thank you.
willing.